Welcome to 704 Paranormal, the podcast. I'm your host, Austin, and I'm joined tonight by my wife, Bethany.
Hey, guys.
And tonight's episode, if you're from North Carolina, you've probably heard the stories about Lake Norman and all the strange and mysterious deaths and the local folklore around it. Tonight, we're going to dive in and we're going to see what all that's about. They say still waters run deep. But in North Carolina's Lake Norman, still waters run haunted. You've heard of Loch Ness, but what if I told you North Carolina has its own legendary lake creature? What if I told you there was a sunken village, entire cemeteries beneath the water, a plane, even alligators are in the waters of Lake Norman? Would you believe me? We'll find out as we share this information. Before there was a Lake Norman, there was a Long Island mill village. In the 1800s, the village was a bustling little hub owned by the Superior Yarn Mill. Around 50 families lived there. They had homes, a store, even their own post office. Generations were born and raised in this tight-knit riverside community. Now, I want you to think about this, Mooresville used to be a small town. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, this is a small town textile area like Mooresville used to be, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-mm.
It's been removed by water, by the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Many families and stuff were displaced in a way. I won't say homeless because the energy company, which we won't name, but if you're from the Carolinas, you probably know what it is. They made sure folks had homes or the ability to move their home at no cost to them. So as long as they could afford to move the home, they would pay the house off and get them squared away. A lot of folks don't know that. Now, back into this. In the 1950s, the energy company we won't name began constructing what would become the largest man-made body of fresh water in North Carolina. Honey, you happen to know what that is?
It is Lake Norman.
Excellent. As the lake began to form in the early 60s, the mill shut down. Homes were bulldozed. Cemeteries were dug up. And what couldn't be moved was simply left behind. Now, interesting enough, it's easier to move the headstones, the tombstones.
Mm-hmm.
Exhuming a body has a lot of red tape. Now, I'm not saying they didn't move the bodies, but I am saying they didn't move all of them. As we said before, we're horror buffs here at 704 Paranormal. Mm-hmm. And if you've ever seen the movie The Poltergeist, you know how that works. They just move the headstones and leave the bodies, and whatever's left behind is left behind.
Yeah, I mean, in that scene where she's swimming not swimming, she fell into the pool, you see skeletons popping up. Those are legit, real skeletons.
Yes.
And they had a big problem. A lot of people had a big problem with the fact that they were using real bodies in the production of this movie.
Some people even claim that caused the set to be cursed. There's a whole storyline that revolves around the Poltergeist movies being cursed. So, interesting enough, you leave bodies behind and they have residual energy, which we will get into as this story continues. Now, according to the Charlotte Observer, the energy company already owned most of the land, and a forester named Carl Blades was sent to convince reluctant farmers to sell what was left. In the end, over 30,000 acres were purchased and submerged. While the power company claimed to have scrubbed the land clean to avoid underwater hazards, divers decades later say otherwise. Now, you and I, we fish on the lake. We've been around the lake. We've been raised around it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that lake's not been scrubbed clean. What do you think?
No, absolutely not. It's the most disgusting lake.
Well, outside of it just being nasty, I mean, people have said that you can still see the cities under the water.
I have not personally observed that, but I believe them if they say that. it sounds believable.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. And as you'll see when we continue going into this deep dive here on Lake Norman, I mean, there's a freaking plane in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And don't worry, we're going to get to that. So hold on to your horses. This story unravels wilder than you could imagine. So, believe it or not, as we said before, it's a community that had stayed there. So, typical post office, fire department, all that good stuff. There's several cemeteries that are still underwater there. The Caldwell Family Cemetery and the Fleming Family Cemetery. They're still there under the lake. Now, the power company, like we said, tried to move the headstones. We talked about this, but they didn't maybe move all the bodies. I just feel like that's just straight bad juju.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they have people buried there from God knows how long ago. I mean, at our previous investigation at the Shinville Witch, you've seen people buried there from the 1800s. I can only imagine that there was people buried there at the family cemeteries underwater now from 1700s or maybe even before. Who knows?
Yeah, and not to mention, if folks knew about this lake going in, and maybe now this is all,
Alleged.
in theory, if people knew a lake was getting built, what better place to cover up crimes?
Oh my goodness.
You think about it, like any murders or anything that got conducted, you just leave the body in one of the houses that's going to get bulldozed or covered by water, and the lake will still hold those mysteries.
Right.
Forever.
Right.
And let's add another layer to this cake here. I mean, you got the village, you got the cemeteries. Well, now I'm going to share with you that there's actually a Revolutionary War site that is submerged in Lake Norman. The Battle of Cowan's Ford site is actually underneath the water there. So, yet again, you take cemetery. Most paranormal investigators start there. That's where we cut our teeth, learning to do what we do. And you take a Revolutionary War site or a Civil War site or any war site because of all of the emotion and energy that's trapped there. That yet again is a paranormal investigator's paradise. Now you have both of these things submerged in the water. I mean, it is a recipe for activity that is unexplainable, So you think you know it all. Wait till I tell you this one. Alligators. Lake Norman has alligators.
Not because they were born there or anything.
Oh, no. That would be too simple. This is a lake that is very difficult to tame here. There's so much going on. So I was always told growing up that there were alligators in Lake Norman. Now, doesn't really make sense. We don't really get them. We're further north than where the alligators typically are.
When I think of alligators, I think of Florida.
Absolutely. Been to Florida. Seen alligators. Lake Norman, never seen them.
Yeah.
Always told about them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are videos online from the early 2000s. There is a 5 to 6 foot alligator on video in Lake Norman.
Did they take it out?
Allegedly, they took it out. But I don't think you'll catch me in those waters.
No.
I mean, maybe on a pier fishing or a boat, but I'm not swimming in there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Especially after doing research on this episode, I have found out things that will keep my butt out of that lake.
I have friends who have claimed that they know someone very personally that has actually released an alligator into that lake just for the giggles.
And there it is. The truth comes out right
I am
here.
not naming names, but that is what I have been told.
Allegedly, of course. Along with the very, very long list of things you wouldn't think to find in Lake Norman, there's a plane.
A plane.
An entire plane.
Not a commercial plane.
No. So there was a mysterious plane found submerged in Lake Norman. The FAA sent dive teams down there. And this is all coming from an article from WSOC. So I think it's very reputable, or I wouldn't put this information out. So they sent dive teams down to make sure there wasn't anyone drowning in there. Now, granted, it'd been there for 30 years, so I guess they might have been out of luck if that was the case.
Yeah.
But they sent dive teams down. They couldn't get the doors open. But they did verify on record. Battalion Chief Kent Davis with the Charlotte Fire Department said that there wasn't any obvious victims or anything odd that stood out.
But if there's no victims, then how did a plane get in there?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. I will tell you. So apparently, the owner of the plane, Barbara Anderson, said they spent thousands and thousands of dollars looking for this plane. That every time they would go out flying, they would try to locate this plane. She got the message via phone call that her plane sunk.
Was this 30 years later?
Yes, actually it was. And the funny thing is, a boat would sink, but not a plane. So, she had questions. Allegedly,
I have questions.
Yes. Allegedly, when they landed, the pilots were out doing training. When they landed, they forgot to put the gear up to lock the plane, and the plane rolled into the lake and sunk.
Mm.
Yes. So we now have a plane. And you got to think, all right, guys, we've got planes. We got cemeteries. We got alligators. That's got to be everything, right? North Carolina has a way of never letting you down. Let me introduce you to our own local cryptid, Normie. That's right, Normie. The Lake Norman Loch Ness Monster, or the Loch Norman Monster, if you will.
I've actually even seen people with Normie on their t-shirts.
Yes. So there is a local author who has written children's books about Normie. And I believe you can actually pick those up at Crazy Cool Collectibles in Mooresville.
He has Normie t-shirts?
Normie t-shirts, plushies. I think the books are there.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So, yes, it's cute in that sense. But if you've ever seen Normie, I don't think you'd feel that way. So, Normie, the Lake Norman Monster, is a local legend with reported sightings of a large unknown creature in the lake. Eyewitness accounts vary, with descriptions ranging from a large snake-like creature with glowing eyes to a massive fish or even a crocodile-like being. That's
terrifying.
Absolutely. And see, the cuteness factor goes away. I told you it would. But here's my take on Normie. I hate to say this, I'm involved in the paranormal field, so I believe in a lot of things, but I have to chalk Normie up there with Bigfoot. I'm sorry.
We're not Bigfoot people.
Don't come after me, Bigfoot people. I'll still come to all of your festivals. You guys are great, but yeah. The thing is, anytime you get a Normie or a lake monster or anything, any photos that come out are just look like they were shot on a potato.
I don't know about cryptids in general, honestly. I just can't get behind them.
Well, we have the Wampus too. That's one of our other local cryptids, and we'll probably do an episode on that too. So you just stand by. There's a lot of cryptids in the Iredell County area. But Normie, yeah. So anyway, Normie, great child's book, I'm sure of. But as of Lake Monster, I don't believe that's what's pulling people down in Lake Norman. I think there's something more sinister than that. But before we get into the mysterious deaths and things tied to Lake Norman, let's just take a moment to take in the size and depth of Lake Norman. Lake Norman has an average depth of 33.5 feet, but its deepest point reaches 112 feet.
Never in my life would I have imagined that it was that deep.
Exactly. Well, so the 112 feet deep, it makes it the lake's largest man-made body of fresh water in North Carolina. Mind you, the lake stretches 34 miles long and boasts over 520 miles of shoreline. I mean, Lake Norman is quite massive, to say the least. Now, the largest man-made fresh body of water is a title given to Lake Norman. There's another title that Lake Norman has earned. Lake Norman is considered the deadliest lake in North Carolina, according to the Charlotte Observer. It has had the most fatalities of any body of water in the state from 2012 through 2025 and still climbing, absolutely still climbing. While officials try to, blame the deaths and things on alcohol and drugs and stuff on the lake, which is very true. Never boat and drink and be out there on the waters. Now, adults, I mean, I know you go out on the lake, you want to have a good time, but it's important to have a safe time and always wear a PFD, personal flotation device. There's a lot of deaths that occur where people knew how to swim excellently and something happened. And we're going to dive into that. It's important to keep in mind, like I said, it is in fact the deadliest man-made body of water in North Carolina. So let's kind of get into this. I mean, if you were born in Mooresville, Troutman, Statesville, Huntersville, any of those areas, you were brought up around this lake. Now, you either know someone or knew someone who perished in that lake. This is where the topic gets a little darker, but we're not here to talk badly about anyone or talk negatively about anyone who passed in the lake with drownings. Unfortunately, it is a common stat that plagues the United States. There are thousands of drownings every year. So we're going to come at this with more of bringing attention to the dangers of the lake and the mystery around it and what maybe causes these things. So when I was growing up on the lake, my dad built piers and docks and stuff. So therefore I was on the lake. We knew a lot of people that had homes out there, and we would always hear stories of folks who were very good swimmers being pulled under by something, and that's how they drowned. People claim that it could be fishing lines or debris. Mm-hmm. But as we talked about the depths of the lake, the debris thing doesn't make sense. I could see fishing line catching you because, we fish and it breaks off and it's in the water.
But who's diving down 33 feet?
Exactly.
To get caught on some debris that's on the bottom of the lake.
Exactly. And most commonly, it's people that are out boating and they hop off the pontoon for a minute. They're swimming around and they don't make it back on.
And it's a huge mystery.
It's always a huge mystery. And like I said, more times than not, if you take a minute to Google search any kind of deaths that occurred in Lake Norman, it's always someone who knew what they were doing.
So what's our theory?
Well, so as I'm thinking about this more and more from the paranormal aspect, mm-hmm. As I've said, you have cemeteries, you have towns, you have bodies buried that have never been discovered. I believe that is like a trap for all of this paranormal energy, residual hauntings and things of that nature. But then you add an electrical company's hydroelectric plants, which is pumping the waters full of EMF, and that amplifies anything that may occur. So coming at this from a paranormal angle could be something haunting related, Mm-hmm. Coming at this from a scientific angle, some people would say undertows, Mm-hmm. But as I've researched on this topic, I can't find any convincing evidence that there is an undertow or undercurrent in Lake Norman.
But we have heard of an electrical current from docks that have electrical outlets and stuff to their docks. If you get too close to something like that, then there could be an electrical, spike in that area.
Oh yeah,
which can cause heart problems.
Correct. If you're in the water and there's a something grounding to that water and you get shocked, it could cause heart problems. It can cause muscle problems. People are swimming out there and they cramp, and that's a problem. But another big common cause of the deaths that occur, somebody will be drowning and an experienced swimmer will dive in to save them. Well, there's another interesting statistic you can look at. More times than not, if you save someone who is drowning and you're an experienced swimmer, you'll end up drowning because that person is in such a panic, they will push you under and drown you trying to get out.
Not even meaning to.
No, it's never intentional. It's just a state of panic and shock. You're in fear for your life. Meanwhile, the other person's trying to get you out, I spent 5 years in the Navy. I had to do my swim quals and stuff and learn how to grab people and move them in water. It was part of our basic training. But even then, unless you're trained in water and the person you're saving happens to be trained in water, it's probably not going to end well.
I mean, I've seen people who have been trained in water actually panic and accidentally bring the person trying to save them down. And I mean, the person coming down just succumbs to it.
Yeah.
I've seen on a video one time, I think it was maybe a movie, that someone's drowning in the water and the person trying to save them comes and knocks them out.
Oh my God.
And then just drags them out because that's one.
It makes more sense.
Exactly. It's saving both of them.
Correct. Because it prevents you from being attacked on accident.
Yeah.
But get this. Did you know that in 1997, there was a Jane Doe found under the 150 bridge? That to this day, it is a cold case that has not been solved. Yeah, it's quite interesting because then you got to ask, is it bad luck or something darker in the water? I mean,
did she get murdered and dumped there?
I mean, very possible, Mooresville's not known for its violence. Now, in recent years from the growth, we are seeing more and more violence in the area. Mm-hmm. But 97, not very common.
No, not back then.
No, maybe Charlotte, but not Mooresville. It was still a small town. We still had the red, white, and blue Walmart.
Yeah.
Back when things were good. But
it wasn't even a super center back then.
No, just a plain just a center. Store. It was just a center. No super center yet.
A mediocre center.
Exactly. So, you got to ask yourself, is Normie dragging these people under?
Doubtful.
Probably not. Spirits, if you believe in it, possibly. Maybe not such as a spirit grabbing them and pulling them under, but, maybe somebody was swimming and they thought they saw something in the water and it caused them to panic and they're trying to swim their heart out to get where they're going. And, that caused them to succumb to the waters.
Mm-hmm. I know if I saw something under the water that was not human or anything, I'd probably have a heart attack and die that way.
That, or if I saw an alligator, that would probably be a big issue. You would see me run on water.
Yeah.
And I am a large man. And the laugh you're hearing right now, we actually have our son in here. He's checking out the time. He enjoys a good paranormal podcast. He has his own YouTube channel, FuseTube Gaming.
Check it out. We will have more videos uploaded soon.
And I believe in the near future, we might even have a crossover with him. We'll take him somewhere to ghost hunt that's not as negatively impacted.
Right. We're going to do a beginners.
And I will have a crossover with my dad at my channel.
There we go.
Hey.
So,
make our own channel.
Well, let's get back into this with... didn't you say there was some type of algae that was dangerous in the lake?
Well, yeah, it's harmful. It's like a whole bloom that's been found in a cove of Lake Norman.
Okay.
It is between, I would have to go back and look, but it is between a couple of different high population areas. Let's see, it says, although most algal,
something like that. Those scientific
words. Is it algal or algal? Who knows?
Yeah, let us know.
Most algal blooms are not harmful. Some species of algae called cyanobacteria can produce toxins that have been linked to severe illness in humans and animals if ingested. That includes swimming, boating, kayaking, fishing, which we've done.
Jesus.
So we really need to be paying attention.
That's why we wash our hands.
Honestly, from the pictures that it shows about this algae, it's literally like a scum on top, and beneath that is most of the toxins. Oh. So if we're near the, if we're going fishing and we don't see a bunch of scum on top, I assume that it's okay.
Well, yeah.
But we still want to take precautions and wash really good after.
Yeah. I mean, they always say still waters are inherently dangerous. They're way more dangerous than moving water because of bacteria,
And I'm sure that somebody is going to probably shock it a little bit to maybe get it to go away.
I mean, I would like to think they're probably
I
on
hope
top
so.
of that already. I mean, Lake Norman is a very big tourist destination. If you don't believe me, drive down I-77 anytime where the lake is, and it will be gridlocked.
Mm-hmm.
So, from the drowned history and real death tolls to the cryptids and the cold cases here, is Lake Norman simply a lake with a dark history or a living graveyard?
That's thoughts to ponder.
Yes. So I'd like to leave it with, yet again, Lake Norman. I believe it does have its spiritual ties. I believe that there may be hauntings on the lake. And I do believe that some of these deaths are suspicious, to say the least. I think that there are things that are attributing to these deaths that we will never fully know.
And we don't ever get information about.
No, we don't ever get information about the in-depth stuff. And like I said, this is just a topic we wanted to cover. It's a short episode. We're not deep diving this one, but when it comes to the true crime and things like that, you better bring you a bucket of popcorn because we're going to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, if you or someone you know has experienced a paranormal encounter on Lake Norman, we'd love to hear from you. I mean, heck, we may even feature you on the next episode of the podcast. If you have any video content or images of anything paranormal or even normie, we'd love to share it on our socials. And speaking of our socials, go ahead and give us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. Everything's under 704 Paranormal. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love for you to see the content that we're putting out. So moving forward, next weekend, we have a big investigation. We're returning back to the Mountain House Assisted Living Facility. And I know I just said that like Cody Rhodes, assisted living facility. Yes, we're also wrestling fans. Where we had some crazy encounters, and that video is live on YouTube. There's shorts out on TikTok and Facebook. That was wild. Still, I have things that are inexplicable, and I'm looking to get answers when we go back.
Mm-hmm. During the video, there was even things that I was still pointing out to you that you didn't notice before.
That's true. I mean, we even captured a dark orb that I've never seen. We had issues with electronics and lights that are still inexplicable or unexplained. But yeah, we're excited to go back. We're going to hit that next. And we are going to be trying to do a couple of these episodes a month. This will primarily be me and my wife doing this one, doing the podcast. You guys comment, let us know things that you're interested in, preferably in the North Carolina area, but it could be anywhere. We'll cover any topics as we can. Do you want to say anything before we go, babe?
Yeah, you forgot to mention that we're going to do the ghost tour in Davidson on Friday.
Well, yes. So we may be having a partnership coming up with Ghost of Davidson. My wife and I and my partner Jamie and his wife will be going to meet with the owners there and do a private tour. And they're part of the historical society there. So hopefully we'll be able to get in to more of these Davidson historical homes. And Davidson, North Carolina is beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's our own little historical slice over there. So we're excited for next weekend for that possible collaboration. And I guess while we're talking about collaborations, we may be having some apparel on the horizon here. We've talked about and are partnering with Sell Your Soul Records in Mooresville, North Carolina. And he is going to be making us some shirts. So hey, if you hear this and you'd like a shirt, comment, let us know your size, and we'll see what we can do to arrange that. But we're going to sign off now. So you want anything else you want to sign off with, babe?
No, I think we've covered up pretty much everything.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to join us on this podcast journey here, talking about Lake Norman. I also would like to finish by saying this has been 704 Paranormal, the podcast.
The podcast.
Yeah. Stay spooky, guys.